Jin Yucheng's flowers. All the tricks have been exhausted, but the ending cannot escape the word sad. Jin Yucheng's novel Flowers is the winner of the Mao Dun Literature Award. From Chapter 1 to Chapter 28, the past and present are intertwined. The odd-numbered chapters talk about the past, and the even-numbered chapters talk about things around the 1990s. In Chapter 29, Abo and Hu Sheng went to see Xiao Mao. They reunited with old friends they had not seen for more than 10 years, and the past and reality of the novel have now been integrated. The novel Flowers is mainly based on white descriptions, with little psychological description, and the character's language is often unreliable, making it difficult to distinguish true from false. Recalling the past is elegant, but remembering the present is vulgar. In the 1990s, Bao and Hu Sheng bid farewell to their green years and entered middle age, witnessing the joys and sorrows of some people. On the basis of tragedy, the author Jin Yucheng delicately presents the dark side of human nature. Cheating and being cheated seem to be very common things. The mantis stalks the cicada, but the oriole follows behind. Those people set up traps to deceive others, and sometimes they inevitably fall into traps carefully set by others. 1. Tao Tao and Xiaoqin. At the beginning of Flowers, Tao Tao babbles, telling other people's scandals as jokes to Shanghai students. At critical moments, he often talks about it, just like a storyteller. But how had he ever figured out his own affairs? When she was single, she was coaxed by Reiko. Later, Lingzi introduced him and Fang Mai got married. Now, at Lingzi's dinner, another woman named Xiaoqin appeared. The conversation among everyone at the table was boring, except for Xiaoqin's sincere and touching talk about things in her hometown. Tao Tao admired Xiaoqin very much, especially her gentleness, thoughtfulness, and considerateness. For Xiaoqin, Tao Tao gave up his family. He always thought that Xiaoqin was a simple and kind-hearted girl. It wasn't until one day that Xiaoqin slipped and fell from the balcony and died unexpectedly that he saw the real Xiaoqin in her notebook. It turns out that everything is false and everything is disguise. She and Lingzi colluded to deliberately lure Tao Tao into taking the bait. Being with him was all about money, and everything she said at the dinner party that day was all made up on the fly. In addition to Tao Tao, she is also entangled with other men. Everything should not be taken seriously. In the eyes of Lingzi and Xiaoqin, it seems that playing tricks on the spot is commonplace. However, Tao Tao is too stupid and mistakes the snake-heartedness for infatuation. When others play tricks on him, he thinks it is love. A person is just a leaf, and in autumn, it falls. Xiaoqin tried his best and finally fell from the sky like a leaf. 2. Meryl. Mei Rui is Hu Sheng's ex-girlfriend, and they were classmates in night school in the 1980s. Later, Mei Rui married someone else. Her story is complicated. She has a little cleverness, but no great wisdom. She and Miss Wang were colleagues. After being introduced by Hu Sheng, Mei Rui stole Miss Wang's client Bao. In fact, both Miss Wang and Mei Rui are interested in Bao. Now, there was a rift between the two, and Miss Wang tried to take revenge on Mei Rui. What she can't get, Mary won't get. Ms. Wang and her husband made an appointment with Mr. Kang and Mei Rui to go out for fun, with the intention of pushing Mei Rui to Mr. Kang. Mr. Kang didn't want to cause trouble, and even if Mei Rui gave some hints, he pretended not to understand. Mei Rui occasionally chats with Mr. Kang and talks about her and her mother-in-law. Her mother, nearly 60 years old, gave up everything to be with Xiao Kai. But in fact, everything is Xiao Kai's conspiracy. In fact, Xiao Kai is interested in Mei Rui, and she wants to use Mei Rui to achieve her own business goals. Mary has always been confused. She often abandons her sad mother and goes out to have fun with Xiao Kai. To outsiders, Mei Rui appears to be bright and glamorous, but in fact she is just a poor person who is being exploited. She is coaxed by her mother and Xiao Kai into doing things that are beyond her reach. Just like in Zhang Ailing's novel The First Incense, Zhuailong is similar. Chapter 28. At the dinner party, Mary suddenly lost her mind, cowering like she was frightened, saying things like not to catch her. Soon, Xiao Kai's affairs were exposed and Zheng Dang was imprisoned. Miley's mother-in-law had long been heartbroken. She secretly transferred the family property in advance and went abroad by herself. Meryl went from being a rich wife to having nothing. She abandoned her husband and son before, but now she wants to go back to fight for her ex-husband's property. How ironic. Mei Rui's story is full of the darkness of human nature. She is the prey of others, and she also wants to take advantage of others. Unfortunately, she is really no match for those people, and she ends up with a miserable end. 3. Lily and Miss Wang. The character's language in the novel Flowers is only 5 points believable. Mary once said, "The stories people tell are often superficial. Lily is the deepest in the city, and what she says is even less credible than Mei Rui's." Miss Wang knows Lily's background very well. Even if Lily owns a restaurant and becomes the proprietress, according to Miss Wang, Lily has a past that is unbearable to look back on. Lily told about that she was once a model, but was deceived by her best friend. Fortunately, she met a nobleman and escaped from the sea of suffering. Xiaokan loves to cry in front of Tao Tao, and Eileen Chang also shows her fragile side to a Bao. Lily said, "The more a woman is smiling and happy, the more bitter she becomes when she turns over her cards." However, like Xiaokan, she is not a simple person. Mr. Zhu is in his 60s and has a secretary named Suan who is in her 40s. In order to get rid of Mr. Zhu's entanglement, Lily deliberately gave away Miss Wang. Mr. Zhu was surrounded by countless girls, and he had no interest in Miss Wang at first. But Miss Wang was feeling depressed that day and deliberately wanted to be arrogant. After a while, Mr. Zhu took the bait. At the banquet, Miss Wang went crazy while drinking, but Lily wanted to see Miss Wang make a fool of herself. Although Miss Wang was willing to fall for herself, she had a clear mind, and was inevitably angry when she saw Lily being humiliated in public. Later, when Miss Wang was pregnant, Lily pretended to be a good person, but secretly revealed the news to Suan. Mr. Zhu just pretended to be stupid and secretly arranged for Suan to make trouble with Miss Wang. In the end, Ms. Wang was diagnosed with a deformed baby, but she insisted on giving birth. Ms. Wang and her husband had previously faked a divorce in order to have a child, but now it has become real. And Mr. Zhu, who is evasive and has no intention of being ruthless with Miss Wang, will definitely leave her alone. It's a pity that Miss Wang's life has reached a dead end because of her temporary confusion. Bao understands that the relationship between men and women comes from the right time and place. If the difference is just a cent, it will be an empty door. He and Lily seemed to be in love, but eventually became strangers. Lily's experience is very complicated. She hates roses, but one day she wears a rose gold watch to see a Bao and says she has something to discuss. She said that a man had been pestering her for more than half a year and proposed to her. She also said that she once helped a girl from a humble background marry into a wealthy family. Lily walked around, speaking vaguely, not knowing what his intentions were, but Bao only regarded himself as a member of Li's family. Later, Lily suddenly became a monk. In her last moments away from the mortal world, she told Bao that he was the person closest to her. She also said, "Women think that spring is old, but men say that spring is still early." Bao regrets it, but Lily has escaped into Buddhism. Maybe after people have been calculating for a long time, they often fail to recognize what true love is. Conclusion: these people in the storyline of the 1990s in the novel Flowers have been ups and downs in the ups and downs of society. They have already developed profound skills and are good at acting. However, no matter how they plot, the ending cannot escape the word tragic. It seems that the author of the novel, Jin Yucheng, made Miss Wang, Mei Rui, Lily, Xiaokan and other women tacky and unlovable. In fact, overall, the author is still compassionate. Lily said that the gods in the sky cannot see the suffering in the world. People are struggling in the mud, but all the gods see are blooming lotus flowers. The author Jin Yucheng has laid out the greed, vulgarity, presumptuousness, confusion, etc. of the worldly men and women in fine pieces on the paper, and seemingly a bit boring. It is sad inside, but true. After reading the novel, It feels like you have aged a few years.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.